Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop August 2023 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager at Microsoft, here to help set the ongoing record straight. This month, we hear from my colleagues Denise Trebona, Partner Design Director, and Sarah Cummings, Product Manager on the SharePoint Pages team, both helping design and deliver the value of SharePoint news directly into your inbox. You'll hear Denise talk about SharePoint integration as a part of communications to improve reach and readability, and then Sarah takes it from there to share how it works based on what's rolling out now. Beyond the breadth of news to email innovation, we'll focus on everything that landed this month, a few related items, and the always fun teasers looking into next month. This podcast is your 30-minute roadmap to stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. This past month was a gust of fresh air, bringing with it fresh technology, and with so much freshness, it's time to kick back, be fresh, and get informed about all the fresh tech that rolled out in August 2023. Where we start is employee engagement. To understand the first employee engagement feature, we want to share the combined audio from Denise and Sarah talking about SharePoint news to email. You'll first hear Denise talking from the keynote stage at the Microsoft 365 conference, and then you'll hear Sarah walking through the implementation from a recent interview with our peer, Vesa Juvonen. And with that, here is Denise recorded from the keynote stage.
And you rely on SharePoint to be integrated with the rest of M365. So we're doing now more than ever to ensure that your content reaches your readers in the flow of work. So let's talk about how SharePoint content shows up in email, Teams, and Microsoft Viva. Here, I'm going to show a new capability of SharePoint news. We're going to see how you can send the full content of news right in email. This is not a snippet. This is going to be the entire post. And SharePoint's going to take care of making sure that it looks great. So you don't have to worry about that. And your readers never leave Outlook, and SharePoint is going to ensure that the view counts and analytics also stay up to date. So we've been using this ourselves at work, and this is really transforming how we share project status and news and really getting more people reading our content.
And here's Sarah talking about the same feature during her interview with Vesa.
When you're creating news posts, you're creating pages that you want to distribute, right? You want to share your news, you want to share it with people. And at least when it comes to the Microsoft company culture, a lot of that sharing happens in email. So what we would see happen is someone would make this beautiful news post. It's perfect. And then they go to send it out and it sends just a link. And that's sort of, come on, we can do better. And so with this feature, what we've done is we've taken your pages and we converted them to a format that will make them readable all in one place. And you can go back to the page if you want, you cannot if you want, and your readers can see it all in your inbox. So internally, this has been a huge success. We have a lot of big fans, which means we've got a ton of testing, which has been good because this has been a complicated one to get right. We have to be realistic about meeting people where they are at with the information that's useful to them. And, if you go into your email today, at least if I go into mine, it's tons of newsletters and distributions and stuff to read. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of email. If someone wants to get something from me, send me a message in Teams. But there's a cultural shift that's happening there. So we want to meet people where they're at and bring them to our sites rather than just being like, no, we're not going to support you there. Yeah, it's just not practical.
Now that you have the value and inner workings of SharePoint news to email, the feature, let me take a moment to round out the edges of what you need to know this month through the Roadmap Pitstop. SharePoint news to email. With the new integration of SharePoint news into Outlook, news authors can preview and send full news posts as email to their readers' inbox. Pretty straightforward. And to help authors get started, we're also adding 6 templates in Outlook and SharePoint. Finally, with our unified page analytics, authors will be able to see their total page reads across Outlook and SharePoint as one number. So to create a news post for email, you go in and you select Made for Email, one of the templates, from the news template picker. This comes with a standard set of Made for Email web parts too, to ensure that what you intend is what you send. When you're ready to publish, you can post your news and send it directly to email in one step. Big note here, sending a page as email will not change existing site permissions and will not give your recipients access to the original page if they don't already have it. So extra, read all about it in your email. That's SharePoint News to Email in a nutshell. Next up, there are some new site theme options, and this is a quick one for the look and feel aficionados out there. We're adding 2 new SharePoint themes to our Change the Look menu. The addition of black and cerulean, a steel bluish color, will enhance your site customization options, providing additional theme colors for the base of your SharePoint sites. That's it. More choices to make it your own, to reflect you and your own branding. Next, accessibility improvements to SharePoint page authoring. And for this one, I'm going to start with a quote. Quote, accessibility is not a bolt-on. It's something that must be built into every product we make so that our products work for everyone. Only then will we empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. This is inclusive culture that we inspire to create. That comes from Satya Nadella, CEO here at Microsoft. Microsoft's goal is to deliver solutions which have been built from the beginning with accessibility and inclusion in mind to help every person and organization to achieve more. In adopting and continuing this empowerment, we've made some improvements to the page authoring experience in SharePoint. The first improvement will provide the functionality to mark images as decorative, and according to the Web Accessibility Initiative, WAI, decorative images are images that do not add information to the content of the page. Text values for these types of images would add audible clutter to screen reader output or could distract users if the topic is different from that of the adjacent text. Thus, decorative images will be ignored by assistive technology, including screen readers. This addition has been made to the following: background image of the title region, images added in line with the text web part, the image web part, the image gallery hero, call to action, and quick links. Your ability to turn on or off and mark things as decorative is important to how everybody will receive the information. The second improvement has changed the heading level 1 to be reserved for the page title in the title area. You can still add headings to a page at levels 2 through 4 using the web parts. This makes it easier for users of screen readers to understand how your page is structured top to bottom. To communicate the heading level of the text correctly to screen reader users, choose a heading style from the text style drop-down menu instead of just visually styling, such as increasing the font size or applying bold formatting to the text. Now, the text web part support article has a lot of great updated information included in how you can use the text web part, both to portray how you want your text to look and, of course, how it will be received by everybody. That link will be in this month's corresponding blog post. Next, announcements in Viva Connections. Your communication team can share important information with employees by authoring announcements on your organization's SharePoint home site or within the Connections app in Teams. Announcements allow you to create and share time-sensitive messages in Viva Connections. You can set up, manage, and schedule announcements from your organization's SharePoint home site or, like I said, from the Teams app directly in the Teams desktop experience. Users will get a notification of new announcements through the Viva Connections app on desktop, within their mobile experience, or in their tablet experience. It's a simple, direct way to publish top-down communications if you've adopted Viva Connections. And hey, maybe this is the final feature that you've been waiting for, so wait no longer. Implement Viva Connections today. There's a lot to help and guide you and how you can best leverage Viva Connections, and then maybe make a few announcements. Last one for employee engagement is an interesting one for admins to be able to have better access and control. This is the restrict access control for SharePoint and OneDrive sites. We're introducing a new advanced capability for SharePoint admins to restrict SharePoint and OneDrive sites to specified users. With this feature, SharePoint admins can restrict site access to specified users using Microsoft 365 groups or Azure AD groups, which is now referred to as Microsoft Entra ID groups. Users not added in the specified groups will not be able to access the site even if they were previously granted site access. So it's a great way to tighten up your governance plan and your implementation of said governance plan and establish the right level of access by being able to express additional permissions or ACLs of who shouldn't have access to certain sites. So it's a nice way to complement how you build out who can access and how you control your SharePoint and OneDrive sites. With that, let us turn to teamwork, starting with where we just left off with referencing OneDrive. This is a big visual one. It's a fun one, and I've seen this demoed a few times live, and it always gets really nice claps and interest. This is OneDrive and SharePoint colors for folders. These are visual cues that help direct both the eye and the mind when you're working within your files and folders. That's why adding colors to folders blends so well with the overall personalization and organization story that OneDrive and SharePoint teams have been working on for a while. With this particular feature, it allows you to colorize your folders with a preset range of 16 colors applicable to both new and existing folders. And by default, the color picker chooses yellow for ease of creation, of course, to get you started with a nice yellow color, but you can change that to any of the other colors at any time. Just as a side note, when my peer Michaela Barrett demoed this live at the recent 365 EduCon event in Seattle, there was a gentleman in the audience that raised his hand to share that he was colorblind and that the variation of what he saw on screen did help differentiate and draw his attention, which of course was a welcome comment that the feature uses vivid colors and does in its own way meet the accessibility guidelines. Similar to what I mentioned before about page authoring improvements, it is not a bolt-on, rather built into the product through and through. And on this one, I'm going to end with the big final FAQ that we often get about this new feature. The answer is yes. Yes, this feature, the ability to colorize your folders, will be available in OneDrive as well as SharePoint document libraries, and in the future, the Teams file tab. So save that FAQ and think of another one because we got you covered on hopefully what you expected and wanted that answer to be. Next, browse files by meetings and people in OneDrive. These are nice new views, and we know that so much of our collaboration happens in the context of meetings. Yet how many times have you found yourself trying to scroll back and find something like the meeting recording from a month ago or from so-and-so? Starting off, when you come to the meetings view, you'll first see any meetings in the next week that you might need to prepare for, which is a nice way to get prepared for the week, followed by a list of meetings that have already occurred. This view brings together all content shared both in meeting invites, meeting chat, and meeting recordings, all in one place for easy access. Now, with the people view, sometimes it can be hard to remember the name of a file or exactly when it was shared, but you know who shared it with you. Because of this, we've created an entirely new way to get back to your shared files, both internal and external, organized by the people that you work with. This view presents the people you've recently collaborated with, along with all the files that have been shared with you by each person. And you can pin your favorite people whose sharing you like and use most. Big note, As before, across these two new views, you will only see files that you have access to, aka it adheres to the governance you expect. Based on how you establish and manage permissions, these views do not and cannot change permissions. Last, for teamwork, SharePoint page sharing. This is an update, and this one is related to the SharePoint news to email feature that we kicked off with. I hope you'll see that correlation. Now you can share SharePoint pages and news posts individually without having to share the entire site, just like you can with other Microsoft 365 files in a document library. All sharing settings at the site and tenant level will, of course, be respected. Note, only the page and items uploaded to the page, like images on the page, will be shared. Other linked content on the page, like embedded documents or lists, will have to be appropriately shared before adding to the page. Again, adhering to the established governance and your intention of who you share it with and what content is being shared on that page. People in your organization can use the familiar Microsoft 365 sharing experience to share individual pages from a SharePoint site. To give a little bit more clarity, this page sharing feature is only available for modern SharePoint site homepage, news posts, and pages. There's a great new Learn More article. I encourage you to review it so that you can see the broader aspects of sharing now with a little bit more granularity when you share a SharePoint page. Now that gets us to related technology, and we're going to start with a new fun app that's pretty related to what we were talking about for OneDrive, but it's a distinct app in Microsoft Teams called the Meet app. Microsoft Teams now has a dedicated space to manage meetings, simply called, as I mentioned, Meet. The Meet app is a centralized hub for all meeting activity and content. This app is available across desktop and web and serves as the destination for pre, during, and after meeting insights, content, and action items. With the Meet app, users can prepare for upcoming meetings, aka the Up Next pivot, catch on something that they missed, aka the Recent pivot. One place to find meeting content, agenda, notes, chats, and recap. Like the OneDrive meeting view before, the value of finding people and content from the context of a meeting is priceless. I encourage you to check it out. You can go to Microsoft Teams and search for Meet, M-E-E-T, under the More Added Apps ellipsis on the left-hand app rail. And with that, I say, nice to meet you in Teams. Staying with Microsoft Teams, let's now talk about the new search experience within chat and channels. The new in-chat and in-channel search experience takes place in the right-hand rail, making it possible to see your chat and channel list with your new search results in one single view, aka without leaving the context of where you started. You can now use keyboard shortcuts, the Control+F on Windows or the Command+F on Mac, to start searching a chat or channel. Or you'll see a dedicated button, Find in Channel, placed on the channel info pane. In results, you'll see enhanced captioning and keyword highlighting to distinguish what you're looking for. It's a nice new inline search capability powered by Microsoft Search right within Microsoft Teams. Now you can find it fast in the context of where you are looking from. Boom! Search mic drop. All right, next is introducing Microsoft Clipchamp. Unlock the power of video at work. It's the at work part that's new this month. And selfishly, I'm including it as a related item because it brings the power of Clipchamp on top of OneDrive and SharePoint and enables commercial use when you log in to Microsoft 365 with your Microsoft Entra ID, aka formerly Azure Active Directory AAD account. And thanks to the in-browser video editor, you can start a new video on the Clipchamp start page on Microsoft 365. You can create a new Clipchamp video in OneDrive or edit an existing video in your OneDrive or SharePoint folders. The videos you export from Clipchamp can be shared through Microsoft Stream, embedded and played in Microsoft Teams, in emails with Outlook, and on Microsoft Viva Engage, modernizing your workflows, your video workflows, with solid integration across the suite, aka share video how and where you like, with a lot of integration in terms of how you create the video. So up until now, Clipchamp has been a natural fit for Microsoft 365 consumers, making it easy to create professional-looking videos with no prior experience. And now we're thrilled that Clipchamp comes to Microsoft 365 commercial customers, making it possible for anyone to easily and efficiently create videos to help streamline their productivity and enhance their work. I think you'll love it. If you haven't used Clipchamp today, now you can within the context of your work. It's a really great video editor, a lot of great features, and now even more valuable of what you can do inline. All right, our last related item, and this is a fun one with Loop. Loop component links will now open on loop.microsoft.com. It's a subtle but really brings together the experience of working with loops and where you work with loops. The loop component links, all those links to .loop files that currently open in an editor on office.com, or what we sometimes refer to as the Microsoft 365 app, will now open on loop.microsoft.com, aka within the Loop web app. You'll have access to the same functionality as is available on office.com, and users like you will have the access to Loop workspaces and will also be able to leverage these capabilities on loop.microsoft.com. Note, the resulting experience on loop.microsoft.com will depend on what your IT admin has enabled. If you're in the Loop, you'll get to and stay in the Loop app. All right, let us move on to the teasers. This is a look into the future. Put your future hats on. This is a future we can predict with pretty high certainty, so let us focus on the future that's just around the corner of our calendars. Here are 2 teasers for what's coming in September 2023. Teaser number 1. Channel meeting invitations. This allows organizers to send a channel meeting to everyone in the team, a welcome update so fewer channel meetings go unnoticed. Teaser number 2, favorite and unfavorite additional file types and folders in OneDrive and SharePoint document libraries. That's it. That's the peek ahead into September 2023. We will include more details about these 2 features and, of course, a lot of other features that have released in the SharePoint Roadmap Pitstop September 2023 edition next month. We've added learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community published to the SharePoint community blog. I hope you've enjoyed this Roadmap Pit Stop. It is time to relax, knowing that you are all caught up. If anything still leaves you scratching your head inquisitively with open questions or concerns, please send us your thoughts and comments to theintrozone@microsoft.com. We're here to put our and your best change management foot forward. Thank you for taking the step with us into the cloud month after month. This is Mark Cashman saying, send me a beautiful SharePoint-y email on the roadmap ahead.